Yeah, for sure.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Girl, yes, he did.
Welcome back. We took a week off for the big election. Hopefully everyone got out and voted. Looked like most of y'all did. Looked like half of y'all did. Right. But welcome back to another edition of Oh No Girl Yes. Thank you for listening. Make sure you're following us wherever you listen to podcasts. Become an actual follower. You can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. Now, if you're not familiar with Patreon, it is a paid subscription where you get behind the scenes information and content on us. So we really talk about what we're going through, but on Patreon, we really. And a couple weeks ago, we had a fun Patreon happy hour live on Patreon subscribers, and that we were on there for like 3 or 4 hours.
We were on there a long time.
We did not mean to do that, so make sure you check out Patreon and become a subscriber and a supporter. And thank you.
Before we get started, where you going?
What do you mean?
Cause you cute, girl.
Oh, I look cute tonight.
I looked over there and I tried to do it. I was like, wait a minute, I look like I rolled out of bed and this.
For our listeners who are not looking at me, I am gorgeous. And if you are looking at me, you can nod in agreement. No, you know what? I actually just read via Zoom to some first graders.
Oh, you got cute for the first graders.
First graders.
Okay.
I remember being in first grade that if I saw a woman with some lipstick on, I can't wait to be a woman. So I know it's little things first graders get excited. Gotcha. I got to read my children's book to them, so that was cool. And then I have something to do after this to get out my business.
You found you some business from a few weeks ago. You found you some business.
Child, I've been having me some business ever since I decided to get me some business. And it's still a daily struggle. I actually think from that podcast, when we had that conversation about I got a man, now I need to get some business, I would say I have really done a stellar bang-up job on getting.
I agree.
My conversations are different. The context of his conversations, I receive them differently. Mm-hmm. That's all we can do is grow, baby. That's all we can do. So, day by day. I don't think I'll have that affliction anymore, though. Because now I think I'm kind of settled into the whole girlfriend thing.
It's not new anymore.
Yeah, it's not new now. And like, even I'll give an example. Yesterday, we hadn't really he and I hadn't talked the whole day. And then when he did FaceTime me and I was in the bed, it was kind of like, what do you want? So no, I ain't looking forward. But we want to do this week's episode kind of in conjunction with the episode we did 2 weeks ago. That episode was where we shared the married couple. You always know the name, Kadeem and Duvall.
Duvall, yeah.
And it was the episode of pressure versus intention. And we are really, really, really big here on the podcast of expressing your intention. What do you say?
Correct.
It is so important. I know I did not do it as a younger woman at all because I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to make nobody uncomfortable with them thinking I liked them. I didn't want to feel like I was asking for too much. And now at this age, listen, what we doing? Because I just need to know what we doing today.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid of being alone. I think when you spend that many years alone, you don't have a fear of being alone in the next 5 minutes by staying.
You know the benefits of it. So, it's not like the end of the world.
Right. And you have shared on a couple of podcasts, sharing your intentions and how that did keep you alone for that time.
Yes. But I had to share them. And I can only imagine had I not, I would be in the same position. Let's say I shared a conversation I had 6 months ago. If I had kept going with that person for 6 months, nothing would have changed. Exactly. And then my feelings would have been even more hurt. Not that they were hurt. But I would have had time and emotions invested in something that was never going to go anywhere.
Exactly.
So
and that was
at it like that.
On our happy hour, and why it did last so many hours, that we were having a group discussion, and then we were talking about that intention versus pressure.
Right.
And you don't regret any of the times that you have expressed your intentions.
Absolutely not.
I agree.
Because I think some people do fall into a trap, especially if you don't get it out early. It's like, well, being with him, regardless of what he thinks and how he feels, is better than being alone. And that's not true. In the end, it's
I
not.
used to be that person. That's the category I used to go in, because I used to say that a man will be with you forever as long as you never say nothing to him about being together.
Right.
And so a lot of times you're like, he's calling every day. We hang out all the time. We spend all this time together. We do all this stuff together. Why would I need to say anything?
Right. I'm getting what I want out of it. So, but are you?
Are you? And also, is he being intentional with you? Because I know I've been, as I would say, cool ass Eunice, and I'm thinking I'm getting all this time and energy and interaction. And then when the woman comes along and states her intention, he there. And I'm like, wait, what happened? Oh, well, she told me that she wasn't playing no games. And if I was going to date her, she looking to get married and have kids. And that's where they went to somebody who stayed there. And it's like, I was cool ass Eunice. Like, wait, what? So pressure, though, is what we were talking about in that episode, because then that couple was saying, well, you pressured me into monogamy, and it was like, wait a minute. So go back and listen to that episode, which is the episode right before this one, if you hadn't heard that one. But today, we're going to talk about the flip side of that same scenario. So this was one of those Ask Steve Harvey. My disclaimer right now, I do not think Steve Harvey is no relationship expert, and I don't be taking no advice or information from Steve Harvey. However, this one hit me a little bit different. So let's holler at this on the other side of this clip, and we'll talk about it.
Okay, so what's going on? Tell me about it.
Sean and I have been navigating life for the past 8 years. Love him to death, and I know that he also loves me. However, we are both in our 40s, no children, we do not live together, and we are not married. We have looked at homes, we have talked about children, we have talked about marriage, but we have not taken any of those steps. What we are trying to figure out is, what is the standstill? What's the impasse? What's the... No, Steve. Okay, so I'm a star, so you can't treat me like this just because this is your friend.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's hurting me what you're telling me, because this is a frat brother that I'm going to have to annihilate on Facebook Watch.
I'm going to be quiet now.
No, I'm going to let you hear.
That ain't love, Steve. That ain't love.
I know. I got you, boy, but I'm going to have to tell the truth now. Go ahead, sister. I'm listening.
I want some advice for both of us. I don't know what the brick wall is.
The brick wall is you.
Okay.
The reason you all have not moved forward with the house, with the marriage, or with the children is because you have not made it a requirement. Like, in other words, would you describe yourself as a person who doesn't like to issue ultimatums?
Yes.
Have you oftentimes dreamed of your wedding day?
Sometimes, yes.
Most women, not all, most women have a dream of their wedding day, what they'd like it to be, how many bridesmaids, if they're gonna have doves released. Listen to this. There ain't a man living that's dreaming of that day. He don't exist. But you know what we do dream of? We dream of the woman of our dreams. We want the woman that we've always wanted to have by our side, how she look, how she walk, when I hold her, how I feel. So see, my frat brother, he has that. He got you. Now what do you have? You ain't got no husband, you ain't got no home, and you ain't got no kids. And he's sitting right there. Do you know why I married Marjorie? Because it was a requirement. Let me tell you what I did to Marjorie. When I gave her her wedding ring down in Mexico, she wore that ring. I gave it to her in December. She wore it to January. And then she said, so Steve, so when we getting married? I said, well, baby, look, I ain't been divorced that long. I got a couple things I got to get together. I sent some things I want to get in order. She said, we could do that together. I said, no, just let me straighten a couple of things out. She took her ring off, handed it to me and said, when I can pick a date, you give me the ring back and I'll wear it. I handed her that ring back and said, what's your date? She said, June 24th. We got married June 24th because she made it a requirement. Now, can I talk to my frat brother for a minute?
Please do.
Dear brother, It is obvious to me that you love this woman. What do you think is the reason why you haven't moved forward?
Long story short, it's really about stability. I went through a tough part in my life where I was without job for 2.5+ years. You know, I'm not one for excuses, right? But to be able to provide the type of life that she deserves and my responsibilities that I've assumed, but it's really been about me providing the stability that's needed, that she deserves.
All right, understood. Now, I'm just looking in the frame.
Mm-hmm.
Where 2 or more or 3 are gathered in my name,
Yeah.
I am there with them. That's Matthew 18 and 20. So obviously you two are people of faith.
Absolutely.
You don't think that the God you serve will provide all of your needs moving forward as he has up to this day. I'm just trying to find out, at what point does God stop being God? You've heard this a million times. I bet you if you make 1 step, he'll make 2, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to see the step. You got to step out on faith. Don't cry, baby. I'm just telling you the truth. Get your girl, swoop off her feet. Y'all go on down the aisle. 2 or more gathered in my, let the church say amen.
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 Thank you very much. See y'all.
Thanks.
You know.
Okay, 8 years, and y'all full-blown adults in your 40s?
Yeah, and she still has a desire to have kids and get married and buy a house.
And he's saying he does too, and he's saying he does too?
Ah, that's right. I mean, the 8 years is what struck me off the top. Just like, my God. But you know, Steve was dead on with this.
I hate to admit it.
Because in the way he broke it down was dead on. I felt like I could receive it, you know. Just saying that, you know, how the woman and a lot of women may not do this, but a lot of women, you know, dream of their wedding day and dream of this and dream of this and that and the other. Whereas men dream of the perfect woman for them. It don't have to be attached to a wedding or a timeline, really. So
or nothing. Yeah, it's just
right. So he has what he wants. I have the perfect woman. She's here. We're together. We've been together. It seems like we're gonna be together forever. But then she didn't get what she wanted out of it because she didn't state what she wanted. You know. So
and then after you stayed so long, after you stayed for 8 years, you almost feel crazy by saying, "Well, I did want this other thing, though." And that's what in that clip, it was this idea. I've never dreamed of a wedding. I've never been that girl. I've never dreamed of a husband and kids. I never dreamed of that. But I also know I'm not going to be with nobody 8 years.
Yeah.
That's some kind of movement in that way. And it doesn't always have to end up in marriage. You know, it really still has to be what you want. I have flip-flopped in my own mind about whether I want to get married or not, or whether I want a partner or not, or whether I would like to live separately from that partner, or I say something different every day for myself. But 8 years in, and I'm not saying 8 years, we started dating when we were 16, and now we're only 24. I'm saying we're in our 40s.
Right. It's a difference. The age is a difference, yes.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, a lot of people
part of that is, we've talked about this before also on the podcast. I can't remember exactly which episode. It wasn't a full episode, but when the man in this situation said that he had gone through this time where he didn't have a job, and so he's just rebuilding himself, and he wants to make sure he can take care and support her. We were talking about how so many times, especially African-American men, do not see us as helpmates.
Yes.
They see us as, you ain't got to go get it all together before you get me. We can get it together.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I didn't receive that well, his excuse well.
You felt it was an excuse more than a reason?
Uh-huh. I mean, it could have been a reason at one point.
But I mean, let's say you're talking to a guy and y'all are doing well, but he expresses to you, "Hey, I'm still trying to get back on my feet. I have this debt. I'm not where I want to be financially."
It all boils down to this: you do what you want to do.
That would be a true statement, friend. Every time. You really do be doing what you want to do.
You do what you want to do.
Whether you need to do it, whether you ought to do it, you do what you wanna do.
Exactly.
This is true.
And so I can't, so it's hard for me to, like, I hear his excuse. It's a valid one or reason. It's a valid reason. You know, you don't want to get caught up in something where you don't want to feel like you're not contributing to the relationship in the way you feel like you should. So I get it, but I feel like especially if you've been with someone for 8 years and she's been through that with you already, what other excuse do we have?
Right. She obviously went through with you through that time, or maybe I misunderstood. It didn't seem like that time came before you met her.
Oh yeah, maybe it happened before, but if it didn't, I mean, my God.
Even people who haven't been out of work, particularly Black men, they have this idea of let me go get it first. And so we are always that's how we tend to be much older, not having been married, because the men that are in our space and time are somewhere trying to get it. Now we out here getting it too, and we still want a partner. We still want to build and have babies while our eggs are still viable. But they have this idea where, and I will say, I believe, I will stand by this. I believe it's cultural. And I would love for you guys to comment on what you think on this particular point. Mm-hmm. I believe it's cultural because so many times we saw our white counterparts in college getting married right out of college or in college. They go move in the parents' basement while he's in medical school. And by the time he's running a medical clinic and they got their 5 kids, their family has been established. But he was building and growing and she was right there. Or you look at these, use football coaches as an example, and how they have to move around and take these little jobs, and they still come home to 12 kids. People like, how this coach, who I have seen working nonstop, morning, noon, night, I know he ain't got time to be dating and courting. I know he busy. I'm watching him be busy. And he got a wife and 7 kids. Mm-hmm. Because culturally, I feel like white men are more conditioned to bringing somebody along for the struggle until we make it. And I feel like culturally, Black men feel like, let me go get it and I'll come get you when I'm ready. And not to go too deep, girlfriend, but that might go back to slavery times when either somebody got their freedom, bought their freedom, and they had to go stack coins to come back and buy the rest of the family, or escaped it. And sometimes they didn't come back or couldn't come back or just found a new life. Mm-hmm. Our Black men will go and do the thing by themselves, and then they say, and now I'm ready to bring you into this. And we are saying, instead of you building over there and me building over here, I wonder what we can build together.
Right.
I know right now, I'm not saying I want to get married or ready to get married or should get married today. But if my boyfriend, whose rent is more in Texas than my mortgage is in Alabama, moved in, he can pay my mortgage. We already on the winning team. Together. We got to do this together. But I think it's 100% cultural. So comment on that, because y'all might disagree, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. But I'm just saying, survey says we see white people getting together in the struggle and building something. Now, that's when you also see the episode where, then he left her for the secretary, and then she says, I help you build this practice.
Right. This happens too.
Well, let us help you build a practice before you leave us for the receptions. Let us help you so we can take half and go on with the rest of it. I mean, isn't that the American dream?
Just give me my half so I can move on.
My half, man. I took a turn somewhere, but y'all know it's true.
It did.
So
so
8 years. I
think it is. It definitely is cultural. I think to a certain extent for a lot of men out there. I don't get it, and it's like they don't have a sense of time either. Like, we're not guaranteed, especially Black men. I hate to keep going back to the race, but they're not living as long as everybody else. So what y'all waiting on?
And there is this sense of we got forever or we got tomorrow. And we're not saying, hey, meet me and marry me in 25 minutes. But if he is in for this particular situation, he knows if he want to be with that woman or not. It seems that he does want to be with her.
It seems that way. But like Steve said,
communicating what she wants out of the situation.
Right. Like Steve said, he has what he wants out of her. Mm-hmm. It's not like he looking for something else or, waiting on something else. He got exactly what he wants.
Okay, so if he's getting what he wants and she has not gotten what she wants. She got this man. She wants to marry this man and build a family and life with this man. She hasn't gotten it. This is when you start getting into the intention versus pressure conversation. Because 8 years in, she would be well within her right to say, listen, I want to get married. I want to build. If you don't want to do that, I need to free myself up to be with somebody who want to do that because I want to do that. I love you and I want to do that with you. But if you don't want to do that with me and I want to do that, I got to go do that. So this person who loves her, he has found his dream woman, now feels pressured into marrying her.
Yeah.
And so one day it's going to come up. Pass this off. I ain't want to get married no way.
We were just fine the way we were.
Fine the way we were. And that's been the last episode when we talk about the line that we don't know where we are on this pressure versus intention. I will always take my intention.
Me too.
There's also this line of how do we come up with who gets what they want and how without one of them feeling like they didn't want to do it.
I mean, I think there's a lesson. I mean, and I'm not saying it's too late for them to right their ship and, you know, have a happy life together, however they choose to move forward. But I think these, just like the episode before this, these are the conversations that we need to hear as single people, especially anybody like our age or younger, really younger people for real. Like, let's not get into these situations where you're 8 years down the road and you don't have what you want because you didn't say what you wanted. Let's talk about these things early on.
I mean, and it's rough because if it's not the right person, I believe it still comes down to the person.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes, I mean, let's use you and I, how we will play tennis and then we really don't. Neither one of us want to get up in the morning to go play tennis. We know that after we do it, we know it's the physical benefit of doing it. We love doing it. But it's like the setting the alarm to get up to do it when you ain't got to set your alarm.
I quit my job not to be setting an alarm. I quit
my job. So I ain't got to do this. Okay?
So you gonna put me on the schedule?
I was gonna tell you, maybe we should just look at having tennis for lunch, you know, or something like that.
Or just spontaneous. They don't have to be like I wake up, you know.
Okay, so we've agreed to that. Okay, we should have had that conversation offline about tennis. I ain't know how to tell you, but that's how people be in relationships. How can I tell you I don't want it to be so official? I don't want it to be so regimented. I want to do it when I want to do it. Or, hey, I need a little bit more regimen. Hey, I need us to be a little bit more official. I know for myself, and we've talked about this before about the gray area, it's hard to have comfort and peace in the gray because it can be anything, any day of the week.
Yeah.
Just because you're not in the gray don't mean you're not going to have struggles and problems and challenges. Amen.
Right.
But and there's know what it is you're doing.
And getting out of the gray area does not necessarily mean you're walking right into a committed relationship.
Right.
But there's an intention behind everything you do from here on out. Spending time together, you know, getting to know each other and stuff like that. You know, I'm intentionally seeking you out to see if this is something we can move forward with. I think some men may get confused, like, I don't like this gray. Well, I'm not saying I want to just lock you down, but can we be intentional about our time?
And see, and that's been the issue you've had with the last couple of guys you've shared with this friend and intentional thing is that by the time they're saying, let's be friends, we're saying, obviously we would have to build a friendship as we go towards a relationship, but we have to be intentional about why we're building.
Right. Are we just being friends just to be friends?
Yeah, That's not. Sometimes people hear that as, but you should be friends. Yeah, you should be friends. But I'm saying we are building this friendship. We are investing. I'm investing in order to make a withdrawal. And if I've seen something in you enough I don't know you that well yet, but I've seen enough in you to know that I would like to learn more. I would like you to learn more about me. I would like to invest more time and energy into you, just as I would like you to do to me. Then we need to have that conversation and say that's what we're doing. Now, whether that ends up in a full-blown relationship or a committed relationship or marriage and kids, we can live to see that. But I'm not going to just be hanging out, particularly as your friend, particularly in my last situation when that happened, and you got 45,732 friends. We ain't going to do that.
Right.
I can tell you we're not going to do that.
Right.
My boyfriend now has female friends. And when I was younger, and he was my boyfriend, the female friends were a challenge for me because I felt like at that point, well, first of all, they were a challenge because they were also younger and probably not well versed in how to be a friend to a man that has a girlfriend. And I would say to him, maybe if they called at 11 midnight or something, I would say either they're disrespectful because you got a girlfriend and they calling so late, or they don't know you got a girlfriend, so now I got a problem with you. But my guy friends, back when I had a lot of guy friends, I would say, no, he got a girl now. You know, it might be some on TV at 2:00 in the morning. When I knew he ain't had nobody, I could send that text. I can make that call. I knew you was up. At some point, you start having the new parameters. At this age, knowing that my boyfriend has female friends, child, I don't care. I assume at this point they ain't want him either. So I ain't worried about him.
Right.
I ain't that concerned about him now. Like, whatever. Look, this man came for me after 17 years. I had your female friends. I don't. But I grew into that space for myself, this particular character. What I'm saying is, friends, that's cute. At the age we are where we say we want certain things, we are making deposits into these friendships in order to get a withdrawal.
Yes. Amen.
8 years in,
that's rough.
That's rough. Because unless we had an understanding at the beginning that we didn't necessarily have to get married and we just want to be together, that's the conversation we had. And it might shift for somebody one way or the other.
It does. And marriages shift. Like even when you're married, we change. We change our mind about things. We evolve.
Look at how many people have gotten married and gotten divorced and gotten back together. Because sometimes it's the shift of what we say we do and changes the relationship in a negative way. Or how many people you've seen be together forever and as soon as they get married, they break up. You know, it's like sometimes that is such a shift for people in their relationship, they don't survive it.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying in 8 years with this particular couple that was talking to Steve, either she did not communicate her intention up front or the intention changed from up front. But still, you have got to be checking in pretty regularly.
I agree.
You and I should have checked in on that tennis idea before right now. Girl, so now I know we said we was going to do that, but how you feeling about it? You still want to keep saying, yo, we can just do it whenever. We ain't got a plan. We ain't got no jobs.
I'd be on the set regimen for tennis. And
we got that. That was taking the fun out of it, though.
Yeah.
That was taking the fun out of it.
Yeah. I don't do schedules well.
We tried it though. We did good for a little bit. But we needed to check in with our partner on that and say, is this working for you? And then more than likely, the other one was not going to say what wasn't working because I want you to be the one to say, no, we going to go. Because I'm not going to be the one to say. Every time we would text, we going tomorrow? Huh? Do you want to go? Huh? Did you want to go tomorrow? Uh-huh. How you do? Because we still looking for it.
And finally, one person would say, okay, well, let's not go tomorrow. Okay, then.
That's fine. We ain't got to go tomorrow. Because I'm trying to have you hold me accountable to going.
No, don't let me hold.
And that's what I'm trying to say. So in those relationships, hey, we got to hold each other accountable to what we said we do. We might have both changed our minds. Let's check in. Hey, I know we had said we was going to be together forever. But do you still feel that way?
Right. Or I know we said we were gonna get married, but it's going well, just like it is.
Right. Let's just leave it like this. Or whatever I know we said. Just check in and say, do you still feel attached to that? You still feel good about that idea? Mm-hmm. And then go from there.
Great idea. It's a great thought.
Great thought. But we got to check in. So Steve Harvey, I'm gonna say I agree with Steve. Y'all know that's hard for me to say that. I agree with Steve Harvey on this one. She's not getting what she wanted. He's getting what he wanted. And at some point, they got to figure out what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other issue, though, because then that's when you go back to intention versus pressure. And also, it just sometimes people will go along with something that they never was happy with. Either way, man or woman. Man might go along with the marriage she didn't want to go along with just to stay. And the woman might go along with not ever getting married because she want, in a perfect world, we can all get what we want. But in this world, we at least better have a conversation about it.
At least. At the very least. Have a conversation.
Let us know what y'all think, because that might be a whole nother standalone conversation about the cultural significance of partnering and helping and
yes.
Stop waiting to go gather and hunt and let us help you hunt, baby. Like, I'm just saying, our viable eggs are dying off. Just make it real. All right. All right, let us know what you think in the comments. Make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe, and make sure you share. Share the joy. Let me say this about the sharing, because some people are either into podcasts or they're not into podcasts. But all of us are into relationships and figuring out what's working, what's not working. And I see a lot of men who may or may not listen to this podcast always got something to say about women. Share these podcasts to these men, because I'm sure they'd love to weigh in, and we'd love to potentially have them as a guest, because it really, I feel that we will really get further along in being together if we just talk about it and talk to each other. And not accuse and not indict and not accost and not allege and not belittle and not degrade and them things. All them things. Don't do that. Stop doing that. Talk to me. Don't ask my neighbor.
It's the sway. It's the sway for me.
That was a jam right there. Don't ask my neighbor, baby. Come talk to me. Okay. Oh no, he didn't.
Girl, yes he did.